Yeah, so I started Quizlet because I had a really difficult French teacher. Her name was Miss Selvin, and she had us learning tons of vocabulary and grammar in her class. So we had a bunch of that, but we also had all these really cool things like we were cooking French food and reciting French poetry and but there was a ton of vocab that we had to learn, and so I needed a tool that could teach me everything one by one that I needed to learn because my dad was trying to quiz me and it just wasn't working. So I built a little game that would just keep asking me questions until I got them all right. I started getting better grades than I'd ever gotten before, and I thought that was really cool. So I um, shared this tool with the other students in my class, and they started doing better as well. My teacher started noticing that everyone in the class was coming to school much more prepared because they were using this tool, and that meant that we could have much richer dialogues in class because of it. And so then just kept working on it from my bedroom nights and weekends, and adding features. I launched it in 2007, went off to college, continued working on it, and then yeah, spent the last 10 years growing it as a company and um, building it so that it could be a sustainable company that lots of people could use. And now it's used by something like 65 million people all over the world. Most of the US uses it every month in K-12. So that's been a cool milestone to hit. And now it's trying to grow around the world.
Well, that was absolutely wonderful. Thank you. And I love the call to action that you kind of included. And I love the diversity in which each of you shared different tools, different platforms, different ideas, and different ways of thinking with this. I think we'll start off with the most obvious of all is the standardized testing, right? A lot of people are like, but I have to be focused on the test. I have to, teach this content. I have to do those things. And we do see the scores, the data you showed is something that I think a lot of people who do this work, I'm sure Edward and Celine, you would agree with this as well. So what advice might you give to people to help overcome that fear? What's one thing they might be able to do so that they can kind of see, oh, wow, okay, yes, this is happening. What would your advice be, or what has your experience been with your students? Maybe Edward, we'll start with you, and then eTwins, and then Celine.
Thank you very much. I think my experience has been that when students enjoy what they're doing, especially that we're using tools that in this day and age, the students really love being on the smartphones if they have one, but they just love the technologies. What we're doing is we're getting into their world and we're doing things in their way. So the learning is almost part of what their experiences are, and they find it a lot easier to connect with what is happening. And they're used to resolving issues through games like the teams we're talking about. So when we're using these online tools, there is a gamification of sorts in things like Quizlet, for instance. They think they are competing, but in actual sense, it is a collaboration. They're bringing their real life experiences, and you're also teaching them communication skills in the process, which is very interesting to see the transition happen. And I think that's been the experience I've seen in my school with my students. They love it, but it also helps to sort of make the entertaining bit of it actually a learning experience in so many ways, tapping into their own experiences and building on those because they all come in with a variety of culture, and it's good to share that within the classroom setting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the biggest things that I hear from you as you say that, it reminds me of the importance of making sure students are happy, right? That they're enjoying what they're doing, because anytime we're happy, anytime we're enjoying what we're doing, we're more motivated, I think, to learn. So eTwins, perhaps share a little bit what advice you might give to a teacher that's like maybe a little bit nervous, but very excited, as many people we're seeing in the chat are, very inspired by everything you all have shared.
The teacher is the central of the classroom, that way that we impart knowledge, we pass knowledge on. What we want to do with technology is we want to make better human decision making. And we know that learning, especially in a digital age, requires technology. But we want to use that technology to empower better human decision making, better teaching from the people. I mean, there is a lot of disruption that's happening in education and in higher education. There are different models. There's privatization of public schools. There are new platforms. There are actually direct-to-consumer offerings that we're seeing in a lot of countries that are, you can get certificates, or that's not utilizing our institutions. But that institution is the central foundation of our educational system.